Right. I just want to talk about Alien Covenant briefly. Um, I didn't like it. I didn't like it very much at all. The first, like the first fucking 45 minutes of the film were actually was actually pretty good. I thought, like you introduced us to the neomorph and you know how that came about. Obviously, it comes out of the guy's back, and another one comes out of the guy's fucking. Well, I thought. Well, when I heard about a throat burst, I thought it was gonna like get to a certain point and then go or whatever. But obviously, it just comes out of his mouth. I mean, both deaths are fucking brutal, absolutely fucking horrific. Um, But the neomorphs themselves, they I thought they were fucking awesome. Slightly brainless because they like the second that they're born, they're just looking on ripping anything to shreds that's in their path. Um, Whereas in the uh, the original Alien, it's the chest burster itself is actually really vulnerable because it's in its snake-like form, so it can't really defend itself. So obviously in that film it sort of goes and then just sort of fucking scarpers away from the crew of the Nostromo. But yeah, the first 45 minutes of the film was really good. I thought it was entertaining, but then um, those two neomorphs that were birthed actually end up attacking the group again, and then fucking David shows up like the fucking like a knight in shining armor with a fucking flare gun. Come with me. That was okay. So then they get back to the engineer citadel, I think it's called, and obviously David is the only person who's there, and he makes a claim that the pathogen black goo was accidentally dispersed on crash landing on the planet, when obviously it wasn't an accident at all. David intentionally dropped it on all the fucking engineer people, which was a really cool sequence actually, except that the engineers on the planet didn't they looked like engineers, but they didn't. I think they looked far too human, if you know what I mean. Like if you remember the engineer, well, the only surviving engineer in Prometheus, he's got like really really dark eyes. Like the engineers in this film had like normal human eyes, so I was a bit confused by that. So I almost think that this actually wasn't the engineer homeworld. It can't have been. And plus, and saying that, even if David had dropped the pathogen, or like, because they are just nuclear fucking bombs, like fucking, just weapons of mass destruction. There's no way that that was the only place on the planet where engineers were living. That's just not possible. And even then, there's no way that David would have went to each part of the planet and thought, right, bomb number one, bomb number two, bomb number three, blah blah blah. I just don't think it would have been physically possible for anything like that to happen. So why didn't more engineers turn up at any point? Obviously we were reintroduced to David. He's got long hair in this one because obviously he's a synthetic person. His hair's going to grow. Yeah, I mean, because if you remember in Prometheus, he actually dyes his roots blonde because he was obsessed with that character from, oh, what's the bloody film called? Oh shit, I can't remember the name of it. It's an old film though. So anyway, in the end, David ends up snipping off his hair And as soon as he starts doing that, I automatically thought, I know what's going to happen now. He's going to switch sides with Walter, the other android, the more advanced android, and he is. So that became very predictable for me. So like straight away, that was just a dead giveaway. So I was a bit pissed off about that, if I'm honest. As the film goes on, it's revealed that David is becoming a bit of a Dr. Frankenstein. You could say he's obviously he's got the black goo pathogen, and he's creating variants, and he's crossbreeding stuff where he eventually he eventually comes up with making the alien eggs, which we all know about. It turns out that he'd actually killed Elizabeth Shaw too, which I thought was, I knew that was going to happen. I mean, I knew she was going to be killed off at some point, but the way that you see later on, like near the end of the film, actually, you see a body just sort of laid back, and everywhere here is just open, like all her organs, everything's been fucking taken out. So I think that David has taken her reproductive organs, even though in Prometheus she said she couldn't bear children, but she did because of the trilobite. But in a way, I think that was actually a mutated sperm cell from Holloway. It wasn't actually a fetus in any shape or form. I mean, because it looks like a squid. Even some of the concept art looks like a fucking sperm cell, but it's obviously mutated. Anyway, yeah. So I think possibly Shaw had, her reproductive organs had been manipulated by the pathogen to create these eggs. And somehow he's made possibly the perfect environment for these eggs to just form. So after Oram, who was a really shitty character, I thought, he's the captain after James Franco's character dies. David leads him down to this little room where the alien eggs are, and obviously he gets face hugged. And then when it comes to the alien bursting out of him, it's nothing like John Hurt's performance. It's nothing like that at all. If you've got something growing in your chest, right, and it's ripping it, in fact, I'll quote Ridley Scott. That is lungs and heart being shredded. You're not just going to lie there and go, psst. It's not going to happen. You're going to be convulsing like John Hurt did, like blood seeping from the mouth and nose, like there was none of that in this. And what's worse is that when it finally bursts out, it's fully formed. It's like got the folded arms that just sort of go like that, and then it stands up, and then David's like, and the alien's like, "Daddy," sort of thing. It was just me and my mate Barry. We were watching it. We looked at each other and we were just shaking our heads like, "What the fuck is this shit? Seriously?" And then when the alien itself is matured, which doesn't take very long, as you know, it doesn't take very long, it looked like shit. It looked terrible. It looked like absolute dog shit. Its head was fine. Its head looked brilliant. In fact, its head looked the closest that we've ever seen it, comparing it to the original design. But the body looked nothing like it was meant to. Nothing like the original at all. And I know as the years have gone by, they've had to manipulate suits and designs, so the actors in the suits were like the actors in the suits. It was easier for them to move and stuff because obviously Balaji, I think his name was, he could only move so much. He couldn't exactly run on all fours or whatever. In fact, I don't think the original Alien never done that at all. Not until James Cameron's Aliens, anyway. I wouldn't say the design itself was bad, but it wasn't to me. It just wasn't the way it was meant to be, at all. It looked horrible to me. What's worse is that every time people were slagging this film off, every time, people, oh, it'll be shit, and I'm just thinking, this is Ridley Scott's second chance to make an alien film, like a proper alien film, but it just wasn't. It wasn't great at all. It was near enough zero character development, and any sort of character development that they tried, it just wasn't good. Like Captain Oram and Daniels, the woman who played Daniels, Catherine Waterston, I don't think she was even that great, to be honest, at all. Tennessee, played by what's his bloody name now? I forgot. Danny McBride. That's it. I thought his character was okay. He had a couple of lines which he could have probably performed a bit better. But that was just probably his character. The ending was, as I said earlier on, predictable. I'm at 12 minutes and I was trying to keep this brief, but obviously I can't fucking do that. The end was predictable. Although I was surprised by David regurgitating facehugger embryos, and then putting 2 of them in the drawer that contained human embryos as well. I thought that was quite cool, because it was kind of like, what's he gonna do now? Because he's got a whole ship of colonists. So could he possibly use all his colonists to breed, or whatever? We don't know yet, do we? That's all I'm gonna say for now. Just a quick video. Needed to speak about it, really. In a bit.